really early for my walk, worried that it was going to be too warm, and it wasn't. It was really pretty. Wow, well, the real estate market's hot. That's wonderful, wonderful news for all of us. We listed 122 homes yesterday, which brings us to 23 available inventory days. So that's a wonderful thing. 23 days of available inventory. That's yay. And you put 110 under contract, and you closed 103. And our average here, let me just put me down here. I think I got this figured out finally. Depending on, oh, hi, good morning, Frank. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, so of those 122 homes that we listed, 41 were under 400,000. So that makes, now we're talking single family. So the single family homes under 400,000 active right now is 985. So that's good news, everybody. That's good news. And we're averaging 121 per day, which is a little, we're under by 27 that we were doing in June. June was a really hot month, and May was pretty hot too with 136 sales a day. So June is 148, and we're averaging so far the first half of July 121. Happy to say that we're selling almost $4.5 million homes a day, which we are just we're making our economy better. I mean, when you think about it, with all these $1 million homes, people that are selling these $1 million homes are probably buying something as well. So, you know, we're really in, what's the right word? Getting our economy boosted by more wealth. That's what I was trying to say. So there's more wealth in Las Vegas as these $1 million buyers come here to become $1 million homeowners. And so that's just really good news. And John has a person looking for a Drexel. Oh, there's Jimmy. John has a buyer looking for, let me see if I can find him. There he is. Okay, he's coming on. There you are, Jimmy, putting on his headset. So John has if anybody out there knows of a Blue Heron Drexel model owner, John has a buyer from Texas who is a referral, someone that he sold a home to years ago, is coming back to Vegas. He went to Texas, now he's coming back. So if you know of anybody, you know, give me a call or text me, and that's going to list. They are very well qualified. So anyway, just throwing that out there. Hi, Jimmy.
Good morning.
What do you know?
I know my links on my Facebook thing are all expired except this one. So we'll have to have Kane update it later today.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here. It's been a while, few days, huh?
Yeah. It's been busy.
And you're going to do the CE class today on law. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's an interesting class, and we're going to bring in some of the new stuff, which we're not really supposed to do. But some of the stuff we have is old. It's 2 years old, and especially the Airbnb stuff. There's 5 or 6 pages in the outline of Airbnb stuff, and that stuff has changed so much in the last 2 years. It's almost. I'm going to give them the phone numbers they need to call to find out what their latest are. But there was a lot of legislative changes that they're not in the content, but I'm going to throw some stuff in there towards the end of class. Hopefully they need to know.
That's excellent. And, you know, when the other 2 instructors taught the law class, they did that too, you know, because things change, you know, and especially this is the year of change for our legislature. So that's really good. That's really good. So, Jimmy, we have 23 days of available inventory. I don't know if you heard me say that, but that's really good news.
Well, you talked about this the other day. The frenzy is not quite as, frenzied as it was before.
Right. Yeah. So that's really helping. And let's see, let me go back here. One of the things that I wanted to talk today about a little bit is sharpening your saw. And, you know, that is Cavi's, what is that, the seventh?
Seventh habit, yep.
Yep, the 7th habit. And so
I'm impressed that you know that's the 7th one, because Let's see, which one was that? 7. Ah, yeah, 7.
And the first one is prioritize your day.
It's actually be proactive, which means take responsibility for what you're getting. So the way you take responsibility is prioritize your day. That's the method for the habit. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh dear. What's the name of the book?
The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is the first one.
Yes.
There's a second one called The 8th Habit. Yes.
And this is one of our things that we say all the time: an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And if you haven't read that book, Jimmy highly recommends it, and so do I. I'm not that much of a fan of the 8th habit, actually. But anyway, I think it's important that people become a lifelong learner
and be happy too.
Yes, and be happy too. Thank you. Thank you. So become a lifelong learner. So one of the things they say, school isn't just for kids. The most successful people devote at least 30 minutes per day to education and self-improvement. And according to a recent study, committing to a spirit of lifelong learning will help keep your mind sharp, reduce your stress, and get you on the path to success. Never stop learning. Dive into these online education platforms for any subject. And they talk about TED. Now, I know you have a TED day, don't you?
Tuesday's my TED Talk day, yes.
And so how do you pick which one you're going to watch?
I'll usually put in a topic like inspiration or science or I'll put in some topic, but TED also sends me recommendations. TED recommends this for you based on my past, diet of TED Talks. So they always give me, I always pick 1 or 2 of theirs that they've recommended and then try to pick 1 or 2 others.
I know that they do a lot on psychology. That's not one of my favorites. Technology, of course, is one of my favorites. History, I don't know. I know history repeats itself, but I've seen a lot of histories.
Yeah.
It applies. And then math, and sociology, and then there's, of course, many more topics, but like you said, inspiration or motivation, things like that. But yeah, I think, so you have that on your calendar?
It's not actually my calendar. I just know Monday's my CEO day and Tuesday's my TED Talk day.
Cool. And what do you do in your CEO day?
I look at the company and figure out, are we hitting our targets? Where do we sit compared to the rest of the market? If the market's up, 10% and I'm all happy because we're up 5%, I shouldn't be all happy. If we're up 20% and I say, oh, look, we're up 20%, then I find that the market's up 35%, I shouldn't be all happy with 20%. So that's Monday's measuring day. That's what the CEO does.
Yes, and you can't hit the target if you're not measuring.
Right.
Right. And then they recommend Coursera. I don't go, it's a university course at major discounts on academic subjects. And then FutureLearn is free online classes in business, creativity, law, politics, and more. And then they have Masterclass, where you watch videos from celebrity experts in the fields of filmmaking, cooking, science, business, and more. Uh-oh, we lost Jimmy.
I wanted to write down FutureLearn because I haven't heard of that one.
FutureLearn.
Yeah, the rest of them I've heard of, but I haven't heard of that one, so I'm writing it down.
Did you hear of Masterclass?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then LinkedIn Learning. You can learn LinkedIn on Monday, as well as how to create the Google business page the right way from 10 to 1 at our Be Social Savvy Training Center, 8400 West Sahara. Go to bee.vegas to sign up and learn how to do LinkedIn the right way and learn how to do your Google business page the right way. So that's 3 hours of learning right there. And then, of course, there's Udemy. I used to watch some of that, but they have marketing topics and finance, photography. So all these different platforms are there for you to learn. And so now some of these some of these courses cost a little bit of money, but not that bad. And then there's the community and virtual meetups, and that's apps like Meetup can link users up with discussion and educational groups on topics that interest them. And then, of course, there's always self-education. If there's a topic that you really want to dive into, like I'm really trying to dive into learning the ins and outs of YouTube and how it can help me, how it can help me and you, and what we're trying to do with continuing education, both and on the general level, to where we can put what we teach across the country. So I'm learning. That's my self-education right now. So anyway, and if you come to Jimmy's class, he always has a list of books.
That's true.
So yeah. And today, Jimmy, one of the things I wanted to delve into a little bit is customer service. And these two lines come from Brian Buffini. And he always says, he always responds very positively. And one of the books that you recommend is The Magic Words.
Yeah, Magic Words, yes.
Yeah. And Buffini recommends, that you don't say things, you don't answer questions negatively. If you don't know the answer, you don't say, I don't know. I'll get back to you. Say, let me see what I can do. That rings better.
Right.
And if someone asks you to do something and you say, well, I've never done that before, you just say, well, I'll do my best. So those things are part of the customer service world, is knowing how to respond when people ask you things that maybe you're not sure of.
He also likes the words, let me double check.
Yes, let me double check.
That's one of his things. He says, when somebody asks me something and I'm not 100% sure, let me double check. That's so important. I want to double check that. So it shows that you're going to go do the research. You're not saying you don't know, which, as you said, that's not a good thing to say. I don't know is not a good thing to say. Let me double check.
Yeah. Now, for years, John would say, I don't know, but I'll find out. Mm-hmm. And I think he probably still says that, because you can't teach an old dog new tricks, I always say. But I've tried. It doesn't work. But people are very receptive to him. So again, people's personalities play into how they talk as well. So anyway, that was something, a little tip there for today. And then the other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about, Jimmy, is sellers. And this particular graphic is about talking to people about marketing, the marketing plan for their home. And this you could use in a listing presentation. See here. Number one is, competitively price your home. Number two is advertise property, activate on property enhancements for optimal viewing, and prepare and submit accurate information in the multiple listing service, and then proactively promote the property to your database. And also network with the best agents and tap into the national referral network if you are like a Berkshire Hathaway or Realty One or Remax or even HomeSmart, right? HomeSmart is
even if you're with Love Las Vegas, you're tapping into a national networking thing through realtor.com.
Yes.
So if somebody comes and says, well, I'm with ABC or XYZ brand, that should not be a marketing advantage for them, because you're tapped into realtor.com and you're paying an arm and a leg to be that. So you're already tapped into not just one brand, but all the brands. And, Joe Nigo tells a story that, what was point number 3, Ruthie?
Point number 3 was, I know it's hard for me to see it, prepare and submit accurate information to the MLS.
He said, Joe Nigo said, now Joe Nigo listed 200 houses a year. Guy was a rock star agent, really, really productive agent.
Yes.
He said he went on a marketing consultation, and it was a little old lady he'd sold the house to, and she was great and this and that, and everything went great. And she said, you know what, let me sleep on this. I'll get back to you. The next day she calls him, Joe, I have some bad news for you. I listed my house with ABC Realty. And he said, oh, well, good for you. I'm glad you picked. They're very professional. He says, what made the difference for you? Well, they started telling me about this network that they're in, and they're going to put my house on all these websites and all this stuff. She was talking about the MLS.
Oh my gosh.
He never talked about the MLS. He took it as a given that people know about MLS, and they might not. Wow. And he lost a listing just because he didn't talk about point number 3. He didn't talk about it.
Oh my. And the
guy's very skilled. I mean,
oh my gosh, great. Yeah. He's brilliant. He really, do you know that he came from a blue collar family, mm-hmm. and was it landscaping they were in, or no, they dug up I know they repaved driveways.
Okay.
That's the business his father was in. And when he got into real estate, he was the blue collar real estate guy.
Mhm.
And he ran his business like his father ran the business. And that is, you show up on time, you get up early, you show up on time, you do what you say you're going to do. And you build referrals that way. And it's like Buffini would say, now he came from a blue collar background because Buffini's father was a painter. And they would, not only would they paint the house, everybody, they would also clean the windows, right?
Mhm.
Because the paint looked better with clean windows. They changed all the light bulbs in the house. And Brian said, Dad, why do you do that? And he says, because nobody else does.
Mhm.
And plus I'm proud of my work and I can put my name on it that way. So, there's little blue collar tips that we can certainly take into our business.
Well, Buffini credits his mayor campaign dialogue to Joe Nigo. He says, I got this from Joe Nigo. And now he doesn't say it very often, but he does say occasionally, he says, you know what, this is how Joe did his business. And I got this from him. So,
Yep.
and he says that's the number one most important dialogue that he has in his whole system. He got it from another agent. And what you're talking about is going to other people, whether it's, FutureLearn or LinkedIn Learning or Ruthie's class on, how to actually get the Google business page up and running.
Yes. Yeah. So this is like my Seller One slide, and this is marketing your home and telling people what you're going to do is very important when you do the listing presentation. And then let's see, let's hide this one. And then once you get the listing, okay, and you're going to tell the person, okay, so once your home is on the market, I'll be there to guide you every step of the way. So you'll receive a copy of the MLS printout to review it for accuracy. So that's to the point of what Joe Negro didn't do as well. And accuracy, John and I are very diligent about making sure the seller signs off on what the MLS says. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when we first, he listed a home this year and he sent the MLS printout, and the person who inputted the listing, instead of saying $94 a month for the HOA, said $940. And the seller caught it. Just saying, little mistakes can cause you big problems.
It's a zero, Ruthie. It's just a zero. Does that count?
Zeros count. Yes, they do. And then the second thing you tell your seller is, I will call you weekly to report on viewings, activity, and give feedback. Now, John likes to call people on Fridays, right? He likes to call people on Fridays to tell them what happened during the week. I kind of like to call people on Mondays because I can tell them what happened during the weekend. So whatever works for you, or you can call them Friday and Mondays. I mean, whatever works for you. But you need to communicate with them at least once a week. And then number 3, we'll meet periodically to review the market conditions and adjust our marketing strategy as needed to get your home sold. I think that regardless of the market, that's a good thing to say. Okay, and let's see. I got 10 more minutes here. I know. I got to run out of here so I can be at class. Okay, so where did my other sellers go? Come on, seller 1, seller 2. I think I lost seller 3, probably. Well, I will tell you what seller 3 says. It's complete transaction management. I don't know what happened to my pictures. Let me get rid of that one. Don't you just love it? We did that one. There it is. I found them. Okay, complete transaction management. So it's important that you tell them, once we've secured a qualified buyer, I promise to smoothly navigate you through the transaction. And that's important, everybody, because if you listen to these iBuyer and interlopers on TV that are advertising, they're telling the consumer that it's a rocky road with a realtor. Have you heard that, Jimmy? It's a rocky road with a realtor. Yeah. And so you want to reassure them that you're going to navigate them smoothly through the transaction. And you're going to, tell them, count on me to manage all the details of your real estate transaction on a daily basis. Very important. And then stay on top of all other matters to be sure your real estate transaction closes in a timely fashion and with as little stress as possible. And a lot of times, the stresses, there's stress points, right? There's stress points when the due diligence period, there's stress points for the appraisal, there's stress points for the loan contingency. And those are things that as a seller's agent, we don't have a lot of control over. So it's important that we communicate with the buyer's agent and get permission sometimes to even communicate with the lender. On John's current deal that's in escrow, Yvette, she's Yvette Hansen, great agent. And she said, oh, please reach out to the lender anytime with any questions, because she has a lender that answers his phone. So little things make a difference on the stress points. So make sure you have those covered. Very important. And then let's see, there's a list here. And I'm going to post all these in the group. The list is, the financing, and the inspections, things that, she's circling that are, like I said, stress points. So then number 4, the fourth thing is negotiating and structuring the sale. So when prospective buyers, come along, you can count on me, because I will carefully review and present all offers for your consideration, and I will qualify prospective buyers and research their lending options. And the third thing is I will negotiate the strongest terms to create a solid transaction. And that's one of the major things that we do is negotiate. We are always negotiating. From the time we walk in the door to get the listing, we're negotiating.
Even before that.
Yeah,
even before we go in their door.
Because you're calling them.
Yeah.
And you're doing your research. Yeah. Any other comments you have about this one?
I just know it's one of the most important services for a buyer, and I'm not sure sellers realize how important that is. But if our biggest value piece is the MLS, then we're exactly like everyone else, because everyone has MLS. This needs to be a point of difference for you. How much training have you had in negotiating? I've had some really advanced training on negotiating, Mr. Seller. And sometimes it comes down to just some skill sets in negotiating, making the deal happen and having it crater. So I have to tell you, I'm kind of proud of the fact that some of the classes I've taken have been taught by some of the top trainers in the business. Chris Voss. I mean, you can talk about, Tom Ferry, some of the big trainers. When you mention their name, it elevates you as well.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly right. And another thing that I put in the group this morning early was the new edited version of the Code of Ethics. And I put it in the group. You can download it. And they've really done a great job at making it easy to read. And they have this pathway to professionalism on the next to the last page, or this might be next to the last page, I believe. And I think everybody needs to at least read this, because it is really important information. I don't have time to go over it, but it talks about respect for the public, respect for property, and respect for our peers. And I think sometimes we need to really, there's 12 items here. We really need to have respect for our peers. And I know the market's, it's not a frenzy, but it's still not easy. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's just a lot of things in there that I think everybody should do. And Jimmy, you might know, I'm so happy you are here today, because you might know the answer to this. This is the last page on the Code of Ethics PDF. And it is where an agent says that their name, their signature, and the date. And I was thinking, years ago, when we had RE/MAX Central, we would review the Code of Ethics in our policies and procedures. And it wasn't as pretty as it is now. And I don't remember this page. Do you?
No, I've not seen this before. But it's a great piece to put in your policies for sure.
Yes. And I thought, oh, wow, somebody finally did this.
It's actually a law in Nevada that as the broker, you're supposed to teach, train, and supervise. And what you're supposed to teach, train, and supervise, teaching, training, the Code of Ethics, you're supposed to teach that. It's the law.
It's the law. And I think that's all I have for today.
The ethics are a obligation of membership. They're a requirement of membership. The pathways is a promise. It's an aspiration. It's a little higher. And if you get charged with something, it's going to be a violation of the Code of Ethics, not the pathways. But the pathways is a way for us to just aim higher. And I think the signature page, what a great piece to put in your policies manual. That's really excellent.
Yeah. And again, everybody, I downloaded the PDF into the group. Now, we have someone here. I'll take another minute here to answer this question. When you get a moment, can you tell me how we download your daily reports? So what you do is you go to the group page, of course, and you hover. You actually click on the picture. Let's say it's a picture you want to download, one of these pictures I have today. Or let's say it's this document you want to download. You click on it, and up in the right-hand corner, there's three little dots. And when you click on the three little dots, you're going to get some options. And I think it's the third option from the bottom says download. And that's how you download them. You can also go to the files section and download them. But if you're just going through the feed and you see something, just click on it and you'll see the three dots appear on your screen. You click on the three dots and then you click download and then you have it. It's that easy. Once you know, right? Once you know, it's easy.
Sure.
It's like anything else. You got to know.
I got a closing comment since today was all about learning. You and I both love Buffini. I was watching a Tom Ferry video a couple of days ago, and I don't know if you recall, but I talked about a book in the negotiating class by a guy named Bob Wolf, and it's called Friendly Persuasion is the name of the book. And he talks about when he goes into negotiating with someone else, he says, listen, I only have one rule in negotiating, and that's that you get what you want. And he said, it's not altruistic. I just know that if you don't get what you want, I have no chance of getting what I want. So let's talk about what you want. And Tom Ferry on a video, I don't know when the video was put out, said, you know what? Call the listing broker if you write an offer. I know they're not going to pick up the phone. They're too busy. They have 40 offers. But if you called the listing broker and left a message, listen, this is Ruthie. I have an offer on your property. I know how busy you are, and I've learned from other agents how skilled you are. So we might not talk before you present it, but I'm just thinking my buyer wants to know if there's anything that they can do that would help the seller. Is there anything that's important to your seller that I should put in this offer? Was it closing date or possession, or is there anything that you can do that you can help me with from the perspective of your seller? And you're talking about what their client wants, and that's not what most people talk about. It's the same principle. He said they might actually even call you back.
Right. No, but that's really good. That's really good. And Jimmy, it's 9:29. I am going to get in my vehicle and head down to Sahara, and I will see you shortly.
All right. Kane's all set up, so I'll see you when you get here.
Okay, and we'll teach law.
Great. Thanks.